Welcome back, ladies and gents, for some more SA Division 2 DPC. My name is Dktruman, and I'm once again joined by Harry Freak. And well, Harry, game number 1, what actually all went wrong for South Team?
I think actually all went wrong for South Team. They were gonna we're gonna put the sentence that way because everything went wrong for them. I don't think there was a single part of the map that went good for them. I liked their aggression on the safe lane, but other than that, they didn't even build up on that. So even the top lane eventually went really badly because the time where they decided to kind of enforce it was when Dawnbreaker got her level 6. But I think you banned out the Dawnbreaker, you have learned your lesson, and you start from there. You see if actually MadKings are that much better than you, or it was just you playing against a hero that you don't have much experience playing against and just dropping the ball completely.
Okay. Yep. It looked like it was just so incredibly one-sided. I immediately lost a lot of hope for South Team here. I do hope that they get a little bit more of a draft that they're suited towards themselves for game number 2, so that we at least have a little bit of a more even exchange, because they did mention, you know, SA Division 2, 19 games, 2 series have gone to 3 maps. Most of them have been 2-0 stomps, and I'm kind of getting that same vibe here because MadKings, they just rolled over them. Their lineup, their draft especially, was in most aspects was just stronger than South Teams.
Yeah, for sure. Though, you know, I tend to try to never judge a game when it's a complete stomp, because complete stomps do happen, especially in the tier 2, tier 3 scene. And the thing about tier 2, tier 3 team is that they're inconsistent, and when it comes to playing from behind, they don't do too well. With the introduction of the DPC, even the lower tier teams have been getting better and better at playing that mid-game Dota, but this was too much of a difference after the laning phase, where South Team, pretty much all of the things that they probably discussed during the draft that they wanted to do, they couldn't. So I'm gonna be a bit hesitant to call it just yet. Maybe South Team are gonna play the lanes better, and we could see a stomp on the in the completely opposite direction with South Team getting it that way. It wouldn't surprise me because I've seen it happen a bunch of times in Dota.
Yeah, of course, you know, new game, new chances. But, well, you know, I did mention, of course, the fact that MadKings have an immensely solid macro game previously. What were your thoughts on the way that they played across the map?
I think their movements were really good. I don't think it was hard to make movements here, given that when you crush the game and you have an Earth Spirit, you pretty much just run at the enemy. I think the macro game part, I would say the most made sense with them rotating towards the mid lane, knowing when they were stronger, and saving the Dawnbreaker ulti for the top lane. Those are the moves that I liked. And the macro gameplay, I think, came into play on the top lane, where they turned it around and then they ult pulled back for 30 seconds and then rallied around their Enigma. That is when I saw that one. Other than that, there weren't really specific situations where you could say the macro game could come to light, given that, as I said, you have an Earth Spirit, you run towards the enemies and you kill everyone just because you're so much stronger than them. So yeah, I did see something great for them, but overall I would like a closer game to really go deep into how well they're gonna be reading the map and playing it.
Yep, and of course for that we're going to quickly jump into the draft, which is on the way, and to see what heroes get chosen. The bans, of course, coming out are Enigma and Dawnbreaker. That is very quick respect bans coming out from the side of South Team. And MadKings, of course, making sure that Hermit does not play either the Lycan or the Visage, because they are very annoying heroes to deal with. So Marcy was left in the pool, and of course immediately gets scooped up by the MadKings. And South Team, they're going to stick with the CK Dazzle Light, just like last game.
So now, when MadKings pick a Weaver, I'm not sure if they play a carry Weaver. There is a Eastern European team, Cybercat Shigetsu plays a insane position one Weaver against all of the counters. He doesn't care, he just picks it and he crushes everyone. A Marcy Weaver lane would be really formidable, but a Weaver 4, even though it has been nerfed since its glory days, is a pretty good hero to play against Dazzle. He uses his first spell that has a 30-second cooldown, you use your second spell that has a 15-second cooldown, so pretty much you have the advantage there. So I would like to see it in both positions. I think against the CK Dazzle it does well, and with the Marcy in the lane it's gonna be amazing as well.
Yeah, they do play it as a safe lane and also as a forward position, so that should not be too problematic. I'm not. They might have actually played it. No, I think it was a safe lane and a forward position that they have played it in the past. So it's also kind of something that most teams run in SA. A lot of teams run the safe lane Weaver. A lot of the time it's actually kind of like the last pick situation, especially because, you know, Juggernaut, for instance, is a hero that a lot of teams love to play, and Weaver's pretty good at getting away from that hero. But this time South team are going to be playing with the Earth Spirit, which is pretty solid against the Weaver if you can get the silence off, and you can chase him down forever.
Man, I love this region. Every single game I see an Earth Spirit. I haven't casted the Earth Spirit game in such a long time. It's insane. Eastern Europe never gets it. Southeast Asia sometimes, but here I know that the hero is very popular in the region. They all kind of you know, watched Jerax in his day, and the problem with this region is that it doesn't have a big Dota history, you know, as much as let's say Europe or China, and then you're gonna be watching some other regions, and Earth Spirit was always the coolest position for it to play. I really like that they got it. Plus, you mentioned Seek and Strike saying Earth Spirit is a weaker Marcy. Well, now we're gonna be seeing who's gonna be doing better between the two.
Yeah, it's definitely looking interesting with these picks right now, because of course with the Bloodseeker Weaver is probably relegated towards either a support, maybe even an offlane for that matter. But to be fair, Marcy could also be different positions. We've seen it mid, we've seen it offlane, 4 or 5. So MadKings slightly more flexible in that regard, but it's looking like they are pretty squishy on, like their heroes die very quickly on the MadKing side.
Yeah, they definitely do. With this Weaver now, though, we know that it's most likely going to be a support, given that we see a Seeker. Zeus, we saw it support last time, but it wouldn't surprise me if they play it as a core. I think a core Zeus with the Seeker is actually quite good. You get the people low. This is a matchup as old as time, you know, so a duo that has always been played, and for a good reason. You use your ulti and suddenly the Seeker is a race car, but I have to say I like what South team have a little bit more this time around. They have a lot of catch. The only thing I think they lack a bit is the damage. So either the Invoker needs a fast turn and to get that first kill, or you're gonna need an offlaner that you can rotate to who's gonna be doing a ton of damage. The Necro did make sense. Something like a Viper would make sense as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if MadKings banned that out as well.
Okay, yeah, I can get behind that. It is still like all over the place currently in terms of the choices here, because Zeus is pretty nice as a mid laner. I know a lot of teams still run it, but it also has its downsides. Earth Spirit, for instance, is the biggest one. Even though Zeus does have a bit more mobility these days with his heavenly jump, it's still a hero that can easily get ran down. Fairly problematic. Weaver could also be an offlane, I guess. I've still seen some offlane Weavers come and go every once in a while. But yeah,
not impossible.
Need to be careful not to make their lineup too squishy, because otherwise they're just going to be easy picks for the Earth Spirit.
Void Incarnate.
Okay, the Void Spirit comes out. I think that's a really cool target for South team to go for. But again, Invoker and the Earth Spirit don't have enough damage to bring him down. Even with the Dazzle helping, it might not be enough. You see that they did ban out the Viper. I still want a very high damage hero here on South team that can stand his ground. But these two are the best. Something like a Veno, I wouldn't really like to see, even though you have a Dazzle, so you're mostly going to get your spells off. It's still something I haven't seen for a long time, and for a good reason. It just isn't that strong currently.
Yeah, currently South team looking for an offlane. Probably could also be a safe lane if they make the CK offlane. which would not be the most surprising play out there. But against the Bloodseeker, Underlord is banned, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Underlord. I would have really liked to see an Underlord pick here for the extra control against the Void Spirit, possibly. Oh, this is a rough one. How are you going to finish the draft? You could also... They're not really illusion-based heroes, so Darkseer is not really one you could go for. Maybe just go Beastmaster and play with the Hermit Beastmaster, I guess.
Bloodseeker does really well against the beast in the lane. That is the problem. You're gonna give the Seeker a free lane. Yeah, they go for the beast.
I mean,
I guess if
Beastmaster
it
doesn't go for boars anymore, so you just keep on yeeting those axes with the Earth Spirit. You can definitely kill off a Bloodseeker.
Okay, that's actually a pretty cool way to approach it if you're not going for the boars. I know in other regions people still go for the boars. They get a level 1 axes, but then you're gonna start getting the boars. But that might be a solid approach to the laning phase to actually deal with the Seeker. But then I see Marcy Weaver on one lane that's constantly gonna be poking. I guess you do have the Dazzle. Then you have the Void Spirit versus the Invoker. Okay, that's gonna be a lane where there's not much damage dealt, but its use is still gonna be doing damage. So I'm again afraid for South team. Now, not so much about them getting caught, but the problem is if your lanes don't go well, if the Invoker doesn't pop off, you are gonna be lacking damage. I really want to see Rina this game get a little bit more active in the early mid game, because there could come a time where South team, they use all their spells, and every single time a hero is running away with like 100 HP, and if you allow that to happen enough times, you will lose the game just because of it.
Yep. It's looking like an interesting draft. I definitely think that South Team have more chances this time around. Their heroes are pretty tanky, and MadKings, they have some heroes that can very quickly die depending on the item build. I think this is definitely a game where Void Spirit wants to get a Kaya Sanj to try and survive. Though I do hope that this will go at least a lot closer in that regard. I did not see any like effect coming out of the Rina CK last game, and I do hope that changes around, because it's a CK Dazzle versus an offlane Weaver and a 4 Marcy, so he's gonna not really care that much about the CK Dazzle whatsoever on the Weaver. He'll just be able to scooch you away every single time.
Very cool point you brought up, that South team's heroes are pretty tanky. I think this game, now that you say it, when I look at it more closely, what you want to be doing with this kind of a lineup is control an area and kind of wait for the opponents to run into you. Take control of a part of the map, hold it, and if the enemies run in, then you fight them. So then you might not even need that much damage. So kind of, you know, a reactionary play that is always set up by you farming a certain area aggressively. I think that would be a cool approach for South team to play this game. But it all relies quite a lot on the Beastmaster getting the bottom tower, and you know, Bloodseeker is a hero that can stay in the lane for a very long time. So I'm looking at these Invoker rotations towards the bottom lane to just open it up. If they open up the map, they can use that tankiness that you just talked about.
They did, by the way, go for the board level 1, so that's slightly more surprising. On the Beastmaster, not even going for Axis level 1, which you don't tend to see whatsoever. They did place the MadKings 2 wards already, Observer Ward out on the high ground. They did get spotted, by the way, because I think the smoke just broke when the board was next to them, and they saw them walk up the high ground, so it wouldn't be too surprising if they get a quick counter ward onto the high ground hill. Coming forward, Quaswex Foker, obviously you are playing against a lineup where you kind of want to have a Spirit Vessel on your team.
At least a fast turn. If the game goes well, you get the Spirit Vessel. If not, I think you skip it. If you're getting the Spirit Vessel like 16, 17 minutes into the game, like a minute or two before first BKB will come out, I think it just feels bad. But if you get an earn, if you get a few kills, and it's gonna be like a 11, 12 minute vessel, then for sure James should be getting it. But first off, he needs to not lose the lane like last time. And Invoker should be doing okay against the Void Spirit, but I still think the Void Spirit should have a little bit of an advantage in terms of CS.
Yeah, it is definitely interchangeable in that regard. I guess that there you do have the melee Void Spirit that is pretty nice in that regard, but Tornado is a great last hitting tool for the Evoker as well. And I think Spirit Vessel especially is going to be a very big use. I mean, not only for Bloodseeker, but also for the Marcy, who is, by the way, getting absolutely cracked by the Poison Touch right now. In the trees he goes. And Louis using the Sentry to gain vision and continue on with the Poison Touch. That is such a filthy play, because that Sentry is also not too shabby to have in that position against Ars and T later on.
Yeah, it's not useless. It's definitely not going to be useless overall, but the 50 gold, even if it was just 50 gold for a First Blood, you'll take that any day. You get some more regen, you get some sticks as well against the Weaver, so it's going to be much easier for Luis to play this lane now because of that First Blood. And plus, this is a Marcy lane, which is usually expected to do quite well.
Yeah, that is a nice way to start it off. Mid lane is going fairly decent for the Evoker here. Of course, you kind of need to have that if you're playing Quaswex, because farming wise they tend to fall off compared to the Exort variants. Exort can just farm creep camps fairly quickly, and also is a Hand of Midas, a rusher. And James, doing pretty good against Jackie Tokyo this time around, and that is very hopeful for the team. While Hermit has 1 creep kill so far on the Beastmaster, that is not too hopeful. Definitely in Struggle City. He's going to get silenced up by RM. Uses the Heavenly Jump for the slow. In comes the Zap, but Hermit gets underneath the tower and he should be just fine.
This is why I had my concerns about the Beastmaster. This is something that can happen. Finally, he gets the Wild Access. I definitely agree with you that that should have been taken at level 1. It would have at least given him more than 3 CS 3 minutes into the game. At least these creeps here is gonna be getting a few of them. Beautiful kick.
Adrian takes some damage, but Hermit needs to be careful himself. The slow attempt comes out. Hermit's gonna get cracked, and Adrian gets the kill. Greedily looking for a little bit more. Maybe the boar, but the boar will be hiding underneath the tower, and that is not the start that the bottom lane of South Team was looking for.
Monty's kind of mad at his offlaner. Why didn't you get the Wild Access? Then he kicks the Bloodseeker towards him so that he can kill him. You know, it's just what tends to happen when you're not doing well. But obviously a uncalculated play. They didn't think that the Beastmaster could actually die there in the tower still. It tends to happen top lane though.
Weaver chasing deep. Luis does not have any way to keep Rina alive. Actually, drag back. Pablo underneath the tower takes a lot of damage, but there's the Gemnit attack, finishing the kill onto Rina. Honestly, it's not bad that Rina dies, because he would have been in a very rough spot regardless. Sarzanti actually, yeah, he Shikuchi's underneath the tower, forced to TP back to base because of that. He wanted to get rid of the healing cell, but that is a very strange move.
I guess he was low on mana as well, want to get to the base. It is a Weaver, so he'll get back to the lane in like 15 seconds. The big thing is though that Luis managed to keep the creep wave. Just a second, mid lane.
Okay, there's a big fight coming out. James, nice 2-man tornado will be just fine. They are out of mana currently. Actually, RM close to his zap. 1 second. Pablo will be the one falling. And the kill does get secured by South Team with massive support rotations, but net worth wise, MadKings are still 1k ahead because Adrian's getting a complete free lane against that Beastmaster. Luckily enough, the lane equilibrium is slightly in favor of South Team, so he at least gets some more than a singular creep kill.
That would have been really nasty if the Invoker had gotten his urn. Obviously, James is not gonna have it. He just got the money to buy it, but you don't want to give him the early urn charge. He needs to work for it. In my mind, rotate towards the top or towards the bottom lane just to attempt to get it. Giving it to him in the mid lane is not gonna be a smart move for MadKings. So I think they should be quite happy with what just happened, even though that they did lose a hero.
Not too shabby. 2 of their lanes are going pretty a-okay. Bottom is actually catching up slightly, at least compared to the Weaver. Hermit is still doing a decent job. He's getting the greatest item for an offlaner, Helm of the Iron Will, to be delivered. And he should be just fine for the foreseeable future with that extra armor and HP regen passively.
Lane?
James tried to get a kill, it seems, but Jackie Tokyo barely managed, even as a magic wand with 7 charges and a fairy fire still left, so would be just a-okay. But it's actually surprising the Void Spirit, it seems, gets hit by the EMP every single time, which normally should be a fairly decently easy to do dodge.
He is being really greedy with the outpushing of the lane. He uses the simulate and then the resonant pulse. This time around, he wanted to use it to get the creeps and get his level 6, but the glyph got used by the invoker. That's why he got hit. So next time around, I don't think he'll be caught by it.
Well, there's a rotation from the Voker towards bottom. James is invised up. They do have a sentry ward though, so he needs to be careful if he gets too close. He's hoping that they walk out. But it seems they're just going to be staying hidden. Actually, staying out of range of the sentry ward for now. Adrian going to walk back in. James rushing up, and now he's under vision of the observer. So, yeah. A James rotation attempt, but it took so long. Lost probably 2 creep waves in the meantime, and that is the time that Jackie Tokyo could catch back up on that Void Spirit.
Did Invoker, you know, having the urn, you want to rotate. I think given that the Beastmaster had a bad time, you wait for the roar to come out. You wait for it to come out, and then you TP towards the bottom lane. Push out the mid TP to the bottom lane just to secure that you're getting a kill 100%.
There's not too much action. There's been a couple of brawls coming in, especially that one fight towards mid. But Adrian is very content with just farming, get his Maelstrom, BKB, probably Basher if he's going to go for the same build as last game. And Rina, the safe laners are pretty much enjoying life. Mid lane has to be a little bit more careful in both aspects.
Yeah, for sure. Oh. Though, Jackie Tokyo isn't... I don't think the Invoker and the Void Spirit are gonna die. That is, the Void Spirit could overextend. I think the ones that initiate first are probably gonna be the ones in trouble if they decide to fight in the mid lane, these two.
Silence comes out. Can they get the kill onto Jackie Tokyo? Reach and Rune picked up by Monty quickly.
He went in.
And Jackie Tokyo does have 2 more Astral Steps available. Tornado, EMP comes out, the rolling boulder. Almost got his mana drained there, but Jackie Tokyo should stay alive for now. Luis walking up the high ground, no fear whatsoever. Is going to take a ton of damage. In comes Argentine roll, slithering right through. Jackie Tokyo is about to die. Physical damage block coming in though. Jackie Tokyo staying alive thanks to the Resonant Pulse, and 3 kills for MadKings. Was a 5-man rotation for that fight though, but they do manage to keep everybody alive.
This is, I think, again, South team are being too aggressive on the mid lane. It's very hard to kill the Void Spirit. He did everything in his power on Jackie Tokyo to go in and not use the spells defensively, and you still couldn't bring him down. Obviously, MadKings, they brought in a lot of heroes, but now I'm liking what they're doing. They're going for Adrian in the bottom lane.
The roar came out. Might have been a little bit too soon. Jackie Tokyo in return. Hermit's going to get ruptured. And he is going to try to go for the TP attempt, but will be tossed back by Pablo, and now they just need to fall back underneath the tower. Yep, unfortunately, the roar was nice, but it was probably slightly too soon, and it was also completely red.
Yeah, MadKings, they knew what was coming their way. They know where South team have to make a play, so they forced them in the mid lane. Right after it, they're ready for the bottom lane, but the roar also came out a bit early. I still think it could have been going well. And Arena, I like that he is trying to join his team, but I wouldn't want him to be the one initiating. I want him to come at the half of the fight, maybe towards that on the bottom lane. But now South, they will catch RM, hopefully for them.
And they will get a kill onto the position 5 Zeus, but it's exactly that, a position 5 Zeus. You don't really get that much for it. I guess it's a nice little extra, but MadKings are pretty content with sacrificing their position 5. They even get the bounty rune yoinked away from the opponents in the meantime, so they're looking pretty good. Argentine gets free farm time top. He's going for his own Spirit Vessel, which is almost completely finished up. Actually, he's going to get it faster than the Voker, because Voker needed to get himself some boots.
Yeah, Weaver doesn't need it, you know. 1 boots for so many legs, it doesn't really make sense. Obviously, you're not going to be getting any. Either way, right now, The South team, they have one job that they have to make sure goes their way, and that is to take the bottom tier 1. MadKings, I think they've already delayed it enough, but if they would smoke and win another fight on the bottom lane, if you're MadKings right now, it would destroy South team's game. Even if you them have it right now, it's not the worst thing in the world. So I think the smarter move would be to let them have it. But considering that South team is taking so much time, we can see that MadKings are preparing for this one. And as I said, if you deter them right now and win a fight, it's gonna destroy South King's game completely.
South team starting to struggle. T gets rolled on. The stun comes out. Does he get the time knocked off? No, he does not. Will be finished off. And the tier 1 tower bottom should be hunted down. Don't really think you want to try and contest this either. If you're on MadKings, they don't have that insane team fight as they had last game. So you definitely have to be careful, especially against Evoker, who's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve.
Weird position from the Weaver. I think T knew that they were coming for him. And he stays at a place where, you know, when you get caught, even if 4 TPs come through, they're not going to be able to save you. But either way, South team, they do open up the map. So now it's the... now is the time for them to control this this top part of the map. The thing is, I really like what MadKings did here. Okay, nicely done by Monty. He finds that ward. That's gonna be extremely important to get a D ward down, because you can't allow MadKings to control this area. If MadKings are coming into this woods, they need to be doing that with the smoke. If they're just running in on their wards and winning the fights, it's gonna be really bad for South team.
Yeah, they're starting to lose. They're not really losing in terms of net worth, though. Adrian is at the top. He's got his Maelstrom done. But Rena's actually caught up slightly. A bit of a fight coming out. Multi takes a lot of damage. Roar comes in. James as well. Tornado onto 2. Gets a lot of damage. Pablo EMP'd up. Is going to die to the ulti of Monty, and a 1-for-1 trade comes out, but James, he's going to get jumped here. Body block from Jackie Tokyo is going to get silenced up in the process, trying to disengage. Rupture comes out. James is in a world of hurt, trying to get a good spell to toss out. Adrian actually needs to be a bit careful himself. James is going to get healed up, but he should still falter with the catches coming through.
They can continue chasing.
Yeah, Rena does get a stun in, but they need more. There's Monty TPing through on that Earthspit. Maybe it can be that useful tool to get those catches. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. And Beastmaster without Aurora is just so much weaker at the moment.
So what happened there is that South team took control of their bottom part of the map, but with just 2 heroes. MadKings went in with the smoke, the third one came in as well, and they managed to kill your hero without you responding. I think at that point, when you know that you've dewarded the enemy ward, you send the CK there. You play there with at least 2 cores, if not all 3 of them, and you protect that area with your life, and you're ready for MadKings when they come. On the other side, South team, they weren't ready, and then we're seeing their problems with the lacking of damage. They got 1 kill. That was because of the summons of the Beastmaster, but that's about it. You're not going to be getting much more of that before they are killed, and then MadKings can go for a chase like this one. So South team, we talked about their damage issues. You solve those by having more heroes there, and especially the CK. With Rena not being there, I think immediately it was obvious how the engagement was gonna go.
They're just currently lacking a little bit of damage most of the time on the South team end. And Dazzle, Shallow Grave is a nice tool, but in that situation, Voker was ruptured, he got Shallow Graved, and he still stood still in that same position. Like, if you get ruptured in that moment, you probably just walk behind the tower, right?
Yeah, I don't know. He was super low either way. You know, yeah, I think he did get
with Shallow Grave. You just walk away and you don't care. But it looked like he was terrified even with Shallow Grave on him. And in that situation, you probably just get more towards where the enemy has to kind of dive you instead of just standing in front of your tower and sacrificing yourself.
If you were bleeding as well, you know, you'd be hesitant about moving at all, because every single time you move, there's even more blood spilled. So Invoker, We know that he's an egomaniac of a hero, so it does make sense that he doesn't want to see his own blood. What is weird to me in this game is that Dazzle isn't maxing the poison touch. He didn't do so in the last game either. Maxing of the Shadow Wave, I don't think that gives you much other than maybe ability to push out the waves, but even then, I just don't see value in the third spell on this hero. In my mind, I'd leave it level 1 and just max the first and the second spell buying the shard, but he's actually gonna get the shard with having maybe 1 or 2 points in the poison touch. Really, that's a weird spell decision coming out from the Dazzle. Maybe it was because you're laning against the Weaver, but overall the laning phase ended and he is still maxing the Shadow Wave.
Yeah, I think it's like he wants to get the CK, Illusion, Phantasm, Reality Rift jump, but I don't really think it's that worth it. Bottom lane, they tried to catch T, but that's just going to be a double secured again for MadKings, who had that move brilliantly and get an easy double kill onto Jackie Tokyo, who is well, hasn't died a single time this game. He's got his Witchblade done, so he's actually bringing in a lot of damage in these fights.
And now I see what you meant when you say MadKings, their macro game is good. It definitely is. They understand the priorities of their enemies perfectly, and thus they are approaching the map. You can see that Adrian is always moving away when his team is not there. What I would like to see now, yeah, is a smoke from South team, but then again, I would like to see a support be there to block that smoke. I think now that is the mistake that MadKings made, and because of it, their Seeker is most likely going to die.
Yep, they catch out Adrian with the Spirit Vessel. Is surely dead. TP is coming in from RZT. They're looking to still get more going here, but the Tornado should keep them at bay for the time being, and that should be, at the very least, a disengage with a free kill onto the Bloodseeker, which is a big one because Rina is trying to stay close in terms of net worth. Foker is starting to fall off. He's going for the Hand of Midas, and this is kind of why I don't like Quaswex Foker. You're going to have Spirit Vessel, Hand of Midas, and then you still can't do anything.
It's very tough. With this hero, you need to be fast around the map and constantly making something happen. It doesn't necessarily have to be kills, but you need to be slowing down the opponents as fast as possible. That's why you have to go for the Midas later on, because you're just not going to be attacking the creeps that much. If you are doing so, you're going to be in a ton of trouble. Again, MadKings, they rotate towards the bottom lane every single time that you are denying those extra 2 or 3 camps from the Beastmaster inside of your jungle is destroying South team's play, because what the Beastmaster wants to do is either pressure the mid lane tower or the bottom tier 2. If he can't pressure the mid, you pressure the bottom, you get DPs, you go towards the mid, and you just go between those. But for that to happen, you need the control of the area around the outpost, and MadKings just haven't let go of that one. So it's just putting a big dent in whatever South team wants to do.
Weaver's also going for the Ags, by the way, so against probably the Roar or the CK jumping on his opponent, you always have that possible life-saving ulti in those scenarios to keep, I would assume, your Bloodseeker most of the time, or the Void Spirit, alive. And Void Spirit's actually, Jackie Tokyo is going, it seems, for an Aghanim Scepter rush, which I definitely do like to see in this game specifically.
Bottom lane.
Reese gets smacked. RM gets the kill. They're looking for more. Tornado comes out. The Monty should be sacrificed. And James doesn't even get away. He's going to invis up, but a little bit too late to get that done. And they find themselves again 3. Every single time South team take a fight, they find 1 player. Every single time MadKings look for a fight, they find 2 or 3.
That's if you are controlling that area as South team right now. You know, they were there with a lot of heroes. You see a hero, you either go for him immediately, you dive him, and then once the opponent starts TPing, you get the hell out, or you get the hell out. There is no chance right now that you're just staying and looking at a hero that is pushing out the wave. I know it's a Weaver, I know it's hard to go on him. If that's the case, just go, run, use a smoke, run towards the mid lane. Get away from that hero or go for it, because every single time they're waiting, it just means that MadKings are preparing to come over, and again, they're gonna be playing the bottom lane on the side of MadKings, because that is what South team needs. So right now, if I was South team, you need to start pressuring the top part of the map. Even if it would mean losing some of your supports, you need to open up the map for this Beastmaster to play.
Oh, there's going to be the jump onto Luis. Quickly drops a shallow grave on himself. Knows exactly what's coming in his direction. And yeah, he does have the shard, but he only has, he's even maxing Shallow Grave right now. So he has a shard with a level 1 poison touch, only poison touching 2 targets, which kind of defeats the entire purpose of your shard. I'm really not a big fan of that choice either. No James,
I don't know.
left behind. Monty gets away, but the Bloodseeker, of course, with that thirst movement speed from Louise and Monty.
Rina going in.
Rina, nice catch, quickly blows up Pablo. Shallow Grave keeps Monty alive, gets himself back. Adrian gets blown up, actually. Rina bringing in the heat, all this damage. Urchin-G is going to get taken down, and Rina absolutely destroyed them.
And straight into the pit. You know, if you can't use the Beastmaster to control the bottom part of the map, at least it's still gonna be a really good Roche-taking hero. Rina is gonna lose his illusions. How fast do they actually take it? I think they take it in 20 seconds. It's not gonna be an issue, but Rina absolutely decimated them there. And this is what would happen every single time if South Team were just waiting in an area and the MadKings would run in. Ideally, you want to be in an aggressive position, but even this works given that MadKings just ran into you like madmen.
Invisibility.
Yeah, that was actually pretty nutty how they I mean, it just came down to they use all their spells on MadKings, and then all of a sudden Rina just went ham. Turns it all into illusion attention to everyone in the process. Hermit is gonna get taken down by RZT. Louise is still trying to run away, gets the Hex off onto Pablo. With that level 1, I still can't believe he has level 1 poison touch level while he's level 11 and has a shard. It's just so weird.
I guess he was in the defensive position. I still love a maxed out Shallow Grave. I just hate the Shadow Wave. But as you mentioned, if you're already getting the shard, just max out that poison touch, so it does make a little bit more sense. Still, even so, 2-second hex even on one target is gonna be a cool thing to use. But still, with that move, South Team are completely back in the game. Also, MadKings, they TP'd all of their heroes towards the top. Not ideal for South Team that it was actually the Beastmaster who died. Ideally, you would want it to be the Earth Spirit or the Dazzle, so that he can immediately pressure the bottom lane. But it's gonna be fine, given that Rina already TP'd to the bottom lane, pushed it out. Now it's gonna allow for the Beastmaster to set up some nice vision here in the top lane, and then that pressure towards the tier 2 can come up. And MadKings, I don't think it's gonna be super easy for them to go for a fight. I don't think it's
yeah, BKB
I think it's something
Rina
you
as
want
well,
to do, yeah.
and he's got the Aegis, so he's really hard to kill at this stage. Of course, it's most likely going to come down to you rupture him and try to kill everyone else, and hope that that works out, because they do have a lot of control on the the South Team lineup with, you know, CK stun, the Earth Spirit roll every 4 seconds, Voker being a Voker, Roar, and even the Dazzle once he finally decides to get a couple of points in the poison touch.
This is a cool smoke. They know that South Team now are gonna be crossing towards the top part of the map, and you catch them while they're not ready. This could work out perfectly for the side of MadKings. Arena is in such a great position. He's just not a target right now.
He also has that Ancient Granite Golem behind him, so he's walking around with godlike amounts of HP. They scanned it. They know that they're in the area on the side of South Team, so they know exactly where MadKings are possibly coming from. Zeus ulti gets used. They need to back off, and the 2 supports are the first 2 targets. Jackie Tokyo with that axe reveal as well coming through. Nice
coming back.
Buyback came through. Both the supports actually bought back. Rina jumping forward, gets himself a quick kill secured, but is very low, so Phantasm Summoning doesn't really do that much. The work comes out onto RZT. The Weaver is in trouble, and he's just gone. If Rina gets a second to hit you, you are absolutely out of this world.
For sure, this is why I'm always hesitant about the Seeker into a CK. You saw what happened there in the previous fight, the one that kind of changed the game, is the CK just annihilated the Bloodseeker. And especially when you have a BKB piercing stun. Last time around you only had the Tusk, but this time around is the Roar that is actually threatening to you, and then the Seeker can never really commit. So it's very hard for MadKings to go in. And I mean, Rina is just positioning beautifully in these fights, or before the fights even start, he understands that he needs to be in the most aggressive position possible as to not allow MadKings to get into the back line, or if they are going into the back line, that MadKings are gonna have to go for a long wraparound, which puts them immediately into a position that they can't run away from.
And now, Invis room picked up by Luis. Jackie Tokyo still finds the kill regardless. Rina, CK still has the Aegis for about a minute, summons his illusions, and will get silenced. So he can't even Reality Rift. They're actually going for him a second time, it seems.
MadKings.
But the rest of the tower seem coming in from behind. Sunstrike's gonna get dodged thanks to the Goomba Stomp. Rina gets ruptured, turns his attention to Mars. He gets the kill, looks for Adrian next. Actually, Rina needs to be a little bit careful. Arzenti gets his time lapse off just in time. Jackie Tokyo is almost out of mana though. James dropping low, has the bug on him, and James will falter. Adrian, is he going to continue forward? Because it looks a little bit scary with Rina still in business. So Rina losing a lot of HP very quickly. Can he lifesteal his way to victory? No, he cannot get the last hit onto Jackie Tokyo. And there's Adrian. He gets himself a big team fight victory, and it all starts with that Dazzle that dies first.
Yeah, it definitely does. It was beautifully done there by the side of Jackie Tokyo, just killing the Dazzle. And also, the even more important thing is that you took care of the CK illusions. The second that the CK illusions are dead, it means that the Bloodseeker can go ham in a fight. There's no one that can really kill him, especially once his BKB is there. So he runs down 1, 2, 3 heroes, and then when the CK is left alone, I mean, he's really not a problem for the Bloodseeker to put down. MadKings really understanding how to approach that fight. They find just a slight opening, and they crush South Team. And this is what happens when you're constantly making moves. If MadKings would just stay back and, you know, allow South Team to get whatever they want, if they weren't going for those smokes, forcing buybacks and such, you would never get a fight like this. But if you're constantly poking, you will get these forced errors to come out from South Team. And I mean, MadKings, they just used it perfectly.
Yeah, Adrian now top net worth. He also built up the Lincoln, so that's a nice tool in when he's BKB'd against the Roar, and of course very importantly against the Reality Rift as well, so that you don't immediately take a chunk of damage from the CK once he hits that level 20.
For sure. Oh yeah, that Lincoln is really, it's a really nice item. You just don't want to die from the Primal Roar. If yeah, when the CK gets to level 20, it is a problem for him, but this time around it's just gonna be breaking the Lincolns, and if you don't pull him back, then the Roar is just not gonna be that effective. So I'm really liking the item choices coming out from the Seeker. He understands if the fight is longer, he survives and they take care of the CK illusions, he's just gonna be able to destroy everyone.
Finally, Dazzle gets his second point in Poison Touch, so now he can at least hex 4 enemies, which is, you know, it's pretty good, especially if you can hex 8 enemies at the same time. Unfortunately, that was not the case yet, and he also doesn't have like an Aether Lens, so he doesn't have really the range. It's a very poor Dazzle this game. Jump on the high ground though, Rina going in onto... Oh, that time lapse save. That's a huge save from Arzenti. Rina's now in trouble. He got ruptured in his BKB, trying to run away. His illusions are actually not being microed whatsoever. And he is just done. Dazzle taken care of as well. James going to be hunted. That's going to be another one in the bag for MadKings. And right now, they are absolutely back on track. That CK jump, oh, like, it hurts so much if it gets saved by the Nasty Weaver.
I like the play from South Team in going for the push. They did a lot of damage to the tower, and MadKings just weren't in position. It's something that you're not gonna expect. But the thing is, diving that far, even if he killed the Zeus, what does he think is gonna accomplish? He's still gonna die there, or in the best case scenario, he has to TP out, and his team is the one that gets pressured. So I'm kind of surprised that he went that deep. Really didn't need to do so. He could have waited for someone to show, to push out the waves, or if no one shows, then you're gonna get the tier 3, and then you can jump into the backlines when you see a little bit more. But he just went too deep, and obviously you are gonna get punished for it. You're still losing this game in terms of net worth, so it's not like you can do that and just run away.
It's back to looking kind of rough for South Team. Jackie Tokyo, especially on that Void Spirit, constantly gets the double silence off on the supports, making sure Dazzle can get the Shallow Grave off to keep his teammates alive and the like. or that the Earth Spirit can roll away. Really solid performance coming out from the Void Spirit to make sure that the team fights all go in their favor.
For sure. And the very soon the Seeker will have the shard. That is also a big deal when you're dealing with the CK. You know, we were talking about, look at him, he has a big chunk of HP when he turns on his armlet, and there's the granite golem next to him. He has almost 4k HP. Well, the Seeker is gonna be quite happy because of it, because he will absolutely destroy him. Plus, he is gonna be healing himself by the exact same amount. And now MadKings, they know that they are much more powerful than their enemies, and finally can go and play on a more aggressive position, because they couldn't do it for the past 5 to 10 minutes ever since that big lost fight in the mid lane.
Well, the Zeus ulti has been used. They're all trying to run away. Louise is the first one to be spotted. Pablo doesn't have a jump target though. He's gonna get jumped. Pops his BKB trying to run away. In the meantime, the backline, Monty tries to go in. RM is already killed off by Hermit, but Rina's going to get ruptured again, and Rina needs to find targets to hit. Nice Shallow Grave coming out from Luis to keep Rina alive for a little bit longer. He's going to go for the TP attempt back to base. Does he get away? No, the bash from Adrian. Last hit was just enough. Monty in the trees, you can't run away because Adrian has full vision of you all the time. And they'll even find Hermit. They got a kill on the Zeus, but that's everything that they managed to get. However, the Sunstrike from James at least saves a little bit of that team fight for South Team, but they are just getting absolutely obliterated in these engagements. Rupture on the CK, and he's just half a hero.
That is the main thing for the CK, is that he couldn't kill the Marcy. Marcy uses the BKB, uses the Unleash, and because of the attack slow of the pulses, when you get all of the attacks out, the CK wasn't able to do any damage. So I think it's a really cool way to shut down the CK. Instead of going for like the Ether Lens Blink on a Marcy, you buy a BKB, and your sole goal is to keep the CK away. If the CK cannot burst down the Lifestealer, the Bloodseeker, there's just no damage on the side of South Team, and they die too fast with this Bloodseeker, and then in the end Adrian obviously again just comes in and clears out the CK. But this is a really nice approach coming out from Pablo, going for a BKB on position for Marcy, and he understands his target well. It's not about catching the supports, it's about keeping Rina away from your teammates.
Marcy is of course, after the nerfs it became a solid amount weaker, considering you can't jump over enemies anymore. But it was definitely a hero that, when it got played in mid or off lane or wherever, even safe lane, the hero just gets BKB Basher, and then it was just a god. And it still is kind of in that scenario where if it gets a BKB plus, you know, +1 item, it is actually really hard to kill, because Unleash's healing is pretty substantial as well with the sidekick buff on you or on your ally. I mean, it is a 50% lifesteal that also gives you 65 extra damage. It is insane how strong it is.
Yeah, it really is. You know, especially against heroes who kind of rely on bursting people down. You know, you need that attack speed to just destroy someone. If it's taken away from you, plus the Marcy is healing for that amount, there's nothing you can do about it. I think South Team right now, they have one big problem is the Marcy. I'd even argue want to use the Roar on her, but whenever you look at MadKings, you always have to think, but there is a time lapse that is gonna be saving them. So everyone is kind of protecting everyone here. You know, you have some defensive items for yourself to allow for the Marcy to do whatever she wants. But then you have this Weaver that is just impossible to catch, and now even the Void Spirit has a Lincoln Sphere, so things are becoming harder and harder for South Team, because MadKings, they itemized perfectly in this game.
They got every tool they need to stay alive for the foreseeable future, and South Team, they had a moment in the game where they started to get advantage, but it just crumbled pretty much after that jump on the Zeus on the high ground. That really did them in and cost them severely, especially momentum wise. They just got pushed all the way back. Arena, well, he's still building that Scotty that he started building back then, and that's like a solid 8 minutes ago.
For sure, yeah. Not sure what you do right now. Again, South team's lineup, they need to blow up a hero with the CK, Roar CK, or just the CK jumping someone. That is how the fight needs to start for you. If it's a long fight and starts this way, you just can't fight. Just,
If you were
Monty?
a millennial,
Oh
I'd say
my
you could
God!
sit.
Oh, that hurts to see. Sometimes
You wanted
people
the Grave,
forget
I
that
guess.
Grave has a casting animation that is really long. Okay, meatball on Pablo, but he does have that BKB, and of course Rs and T behind him. But yeah, that's your initiator gone. That's the one that's supposed to be the nuisance in the fights, just absolutely torn down by the rupture, and a bit of a mistake there for South Team. A massive mistake there for South Team.
I mean, it's not gonna cost you that much overall, and you still get the tier 3 on the bottom. And I like that Hermit is doing this. Really nothing that you can do to help your team. If he TP'd back to the base, MadKings would continue the push and most likely get a good fight going their way. But now, with his Zeus TPing back, South team are going for a smoke. On the bottom lane, they're most likely not gonna find anyone, but you just don't feel confident enough to go for the top lane. You're gonna know that a full power of MadKings is gonna be there, but there's just no way for you to fight in that position.
Yeah, it's right now. Is it more of a you need to try and drag out a fight where, you know, X hero is not there kind of situation for South team, or do they have another way of trying to turn this in their favor?
Yeah, I think you have to have a situation where you are where you see a very important target. Considering that you have a Beastmaster, that can happen. You don't necessarily need a 4 versus 5 fight, but you need to be able to jump in and blow up the Weaver or blow up the Marcy. That is the ideal scenario. And obviously, both of those things, you know, getting a 4 versus 5 fight and getting a vision of the Weaver is gonna be given to you if you're pushing the bottom lane. Plus, if the CK is on the bottom lane, you have a blink, yeah, you can actually use this you can actually use this blink to jump on the Zeus and kill him, because now MadKings, they want to be on the aggressive, they're not going to be on the defensive, so the South team can jump the Zeus, and you can see that RM is already prepared. Okay, and now I definitely believe you. They're reading everything that South team could do and just being one step ahead. Look at these words from the Zeus. He knows that the play for South team right now is to kill him, is literally to bring the CK to the bottom lane and kill him while the supports are barely showing towards the top lane and kind of pushing out the waves. This is just a beautiful beautiful play coming out from MadKings.
Zeus is pretty good at just defending base. Once his team needs him, he just pops up Thunder God's Wrath, which does a lot of damage. They're going to go in on the Monty top side, and they do manage to get a quick kill on to the Earth Spirit. Does have a buyback available. Bottom in the meantime, you see Ars and Hermit still trying to push it out, but RM is just keeping the racks intact the entire time, and Hermit, he can't really do much without any... if he gets the roar in with the blink roar, he could possibly kill off RM with a Sunstrike, I guess. But it is a risky endeavor, because that means your roar would be on cooldown, and it's kind of a very useful spell for the dire side at this stage.
It definitely is, but you can see even in a 4 versus 5 scenario, South team, they know they can't fight. In their place, I would still attempt to do so. Oh, they use the Phantasm. Okay, you don't have your supports anymore.
Adrian. Yeah, there's a full set of racks being secured. Roll in, coming through, drag back, control onto Adrian. Gets himself time lapse already. Sunstrike's not going to connect. Hermit's in trouble. And Rena looking for a target here. They're jumping all over the place. RST going for Hermit, but they already get rid of Monty. That is going to be an Earth Spirit. Does have a buyback available. Hermit is dead. Luis needs to be very careful because that Dazzle does not have a buyback available, and he dodges and weaves his way out of there for the time being. As another Hex coming through, they find Jackie Tokyo. That's actually a pretty big kill, but Monty did also buy back a Monty. Can he stay alive? Rena coming in with more damage. Gets rid of Pablo. Supports are dropping on the side of MadKings, but the advantage is so heavy in their favor, especially net worth wise. And 3 buybacks used on the side of South Team. This is looking disastrous for them.
For sure. I think they lost that fight, maybe even this game, the second that the CK used the Phantasm. The second he used the Phantasm and MadKings were able to get themselves out, it forced South Team to get something because they would have lost another lane of racks. And now they want to come out, and it's going to come at the price.
Arena pops Phantasm, but Adrian does not care. All the illusions are gone. Arena does not have a buyback and doesn't have the money for it. 580 gold, so that looks like they can they can't get megas at least, and they are actually falling back because mid lane is being currently pushed out. Maybe they'll actually still be alive for a little bit longer, but recovery seems so far gone for the South Team side right now. It is all on MadKings making a multitude of mistakes in a row.
I at least like the South Team are trying to force those mistakes. If you're just staying in your base, that mistake is not gonna happen because they'll just jump on you and kill you with the advantage they have. It's a no-brainer that they'll be winning the fight. But what South Team have to do is not allow MadKings to get themselves together on this bottom lane. I think even now, without the CK, the best move would be smoke towards there and try to get a pick up. This Void Spirit would be an ideal one because if he gets this lane pushed out and MadKings get control of the triangle with multiple heroes, with the top lane being pushed in constantly because of the super creeps, the game ends there, and the only thing that is left for South Team is to run into a fight that they just cannot win.
Right now it's just a high ground defense game, and at least they'll have their CK back up in a second, but CK's just... I mean, Bloodseeker's big plus, he does also have his level 27 already, so double rupture is a nice addition. But Bloodseeker's biggest plus is, as you previously brought up, that shard. Against tank hero, it's kind of like the super mobile version of a Lifestealer, which is terrifying. If Lifestealer runs at you with, 800 movement speed, yeah, no, that is horrifying for every tanky hero in the game. And that is kind of like, we talked about the fact that I was a little bit hesitant in the output amount of damage that MadKings have, but that shard definitely does circumvent it with the amount of attack speed that Bloodseeker now currently has.
Yeah, for sure, I'd put it that way. It really is terrifying. I think I saw in Eastern Europe Division 1, I think Navi was playing it, Vichun was playing a Lifestealer, they had a Lycan in the game. He goes for the Wolf Bite and he just kills everyone. The thing is, there you need 4,000 gold for your offlaner. Here you just need 1,400 gold for your Bloodseeker, and you kind of have the same thing that might even be more powerful. And we can see Adrian going forward. As I said, South Team now they're gonna be forced into a fight. Beat their high ground, beat the triangle, beat the Roche Pit. In my mind, I'd try to catch the enemies in a transition, and that is exactly what they're doing. This is the best they can hope for. If they can jump now, it would be the ideal scenario.
Yeah, Roche, however, is coming up in 20 seconds, and I guess they'll just be able to take it pretty quickly with the minus armor from the Weaver. Pablo with the sidekick. 10 seconds. Will they stay in the pit the entire time? No, it seems not. Bloodseeker's just going to scout about. He's getting his Swift Link delivered right now. So that's... yeah. It really is just wait on the high ground for South Team right now and pray.
Yeah, I think prayer is the thing that might be able to help you, because everything else just doesn't work out. If you're just waiting on the high ground in a game like this, it's not gonna work out. I think you have more chances winning this game again in a position where you're catching MadKings on a transitioning between the lanes. If they just come to push and they're attacking the Raxes, you're gonna stack Lincolns on the Seeker. There's gonna be nothing South Team can do. So that's why MadKings, they're smoking up again. They know what the only play for South Team is. South Team isn't even making that play, but they are playing around it with this smoke. They're gonna know if South Team are coming from the side. And given that they're not, this is just gonna be an easy high ground siege for MadKings. A Hex from the Invoker is something unexpected, but I just don't see how much it will change against so many Lincoln Spheres.
Yeah, there's pretty much a double Bloodseeker that you have to get rid of. Bottom lane is in the meantime being split pushed in though, as Hermit is getting the creep wave going. TP back to base by RM, but he's got his Ags. Actually, the word comes out onto RM, the Sunstrike as well. Another stun. Can he get the full control? And RM Zeus is dead. But in comes Jackie Tokyo Hermit, will be jumped. This is kind of the moment where you need to go on the rest of the team. Arena reads it perfectly. He's going to go in for the attempt, but a nice time-lapse save comes out. Rena, can he stay alive? No, the rest of the team is falling back. They're actually leaving Rena there to pretty much die. He's trying to lifesteal his way through. Rupture comes out. James is just gonna get ruptured to death. Jackie Tokyo did jump back in. He's losing a lot of HP. And Rena does have a buyback available if he so pleases to use it. Maybe. Nope. Nope. Okay. I guess the CK does not want to pop it currently. And that should then be game.
He doesn't see what to do. He literally doesn't see what to do right now because he doesn't have the Phantasm. If it's him fighting the Bloodseeker, even if they would get the Hex plus all the stuns from the Earth Spirit, they wouldn't bring him down, and then you just lose it. So he understands there's not much he can do. So this game at this point is pretty much over. Nice opening from South team, but
gonna go in onto Jackie. Can they get the catch? Oh, Aether Remnant. That's a big nuisance. Time lapse as well. Jackie gets himself away. Rupture onto Rena. Tornado onto 2. With the meatball in, a little bit of damage, but Rena can't really stay alive in the process and will die back afterwards. Jackie Tokyo still completely perfectly fine. The GG gets called, and that is going to be SA Division 2 done for the day with another 2-0. And it doesn't stop just yet. That is pretty much the SA treatment.
Do we get the pauses often at the end of the game here?
No, normally not. I don't really know why.
I think the Marcy disconnected, so it was maybe just a reflex from one of the players. But MadKings, I can see why you said that they have really good macro movement. They definitely do. I like how this team is playing. I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised by South America. Usually people call it the weakest region, but we can see that the DPC
it definitely is not.
Yeah, DPC is making the scenes for tier 2 teams really competitive, and a lot of teams are getting better and better. And I think wherever you go, whichever region, that Division 2 is gonna be looking really solid. Obviously, it's not gonna be looking like the best teams in the world, but you're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even all 8 teams that are gonna be looking really good. MadKings, every single move they made was really good. South team, obviously they didn't make much pressure, so it does allow you with a lot of time to think and stuff like that. So speed is probably the thing that MadKings might be lacking to win against some of the stronger teams. But in terms of understanding, it was top notch. Every single move South team wanted to happen, it was red from start to finish.
Yeah, I definitely wholeheartedly agree with that one. I think that's the biggest plus of the DPC League, is that you've got the tier 2 scenes in, a lot of different regions that actually have an influx of money, and so they can completely focus on improving their craft, their performances, because they don't need to have a second job to be able to sustain themselves, which is a huge plus in a region like SA. Because there was otherwise not really that much money coming in, except for, the top teams that went to the majors every single time. And you really do see every DPC season, you see the competition growing, you see the teams getting better. I mean, you've seen it in Eastern Europe as well. You got, it's completely filled with orgs that everyone knows in Division 2. I mean, Namiga especially looking really good in that region, and right now we did see an amazing performance coming out from MadKings. Unfortunately, does mean, of course, that they had to take down South Team. They did it fairly convincingly, and I am actually expecting MadKing to make a little bit of a move up towards the top of the group, because MadKing's last 2 teams that they have to face are the Balrogs, which arguably should be doable. Balrogs are 1-4, and Ravens. If they win against Balrogs and afterwards against Ravens, then they would probably be tied for 1st/2nd place. So there is a lot of possibility still for MadKings to really upset Division 2 this season.
Yeah, with these kind of plays, if they prepare well for those teams, you have some of the games to look at what they do. you told me that RM is a used to be a coach for some of the top teams in South America, so he definitely should be knowing what he's doing if they prepare properly, even for the stronger teams. I think their movements are there. They do tend to get overly aggressive from time to time, but that you learn from experience. You can't really watch a replay and say, okay, there we should have gone back. Well, obviously, because you died, but you learn it from experience. So I like that they're kind of diving in, because by diving you get the feel of how aggressive you can actually be with your lineup, and you're going to be making those mistakes less and less as time goes on with practice. So MadKings, really solid performance, and I do agree with you just from what I've seen today that they would have a good shot at tackling the spot for Division 1. I do think they have the potential necessary to play in the upper leagues.
Yeah, definitely, but doesn't mean that today was pretty short for Division 2 at the very least. Thank you very much for joining me. And yeah, any last words for the fans in SA?
Did you? I hope that fans enjoyed it. At least you're gonna have enough here for 2 people here in Division 2. I guess that would be the main one. I wanted to shave my head once as well, to be a hairless freak, you know. But yeah, I'm still gonna be staying with this hairdo. I hope that you enjoyed with it as well. I can transfer a little bit to you.
Yeah, no, I'm content with being bald. Okay. I have already agreed with it. I will be bald for life, unfortunately. But yeah, that does conclude our cast for now. There will be another series. SA Division 1 will start in give or take an hour. I'll be back for that. Unfortunately, Harry Freak will not. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hopefully you enjoyed the cast. And in case we don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.